Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all new episode of Health from Home series by Aditya Birla Health Insurance. As we are celebrating women during this month of Women's Day, it's important to discuss their health and lifestyle too. I am Dr. Sunil Chaudhary, an MBBS, practicing with Aditya Birla Health Insurance, and I'm here with women who have been successful in their respective fields. Ms. Dilshad Khurana, who is the head of Mental Health Helpline at Empower, and the co-founder and the CEO of Fraternity, Mrs. Neha Motwani. And she's working on making fitness accessible to everyone. Both the ladies have clocked in wonderful achievements in their life, and today they will share some secrets on work-life balance and how they have managed to juggle between work and family while still making time for their own personal health and mental space. As we all know, the pandemic brought uh, in a lot of chaos in the lives of all working professionals, sending work-life balance off for a toss as we were unable to draw specific boundaries around working time and family time, especially in the case of working women who have been handling their family, kids, and parents too. Let's hear from our two women experts today on how they manage to strike the right balance. And let's begin with a few questions on the subject with our first guest, Neha. Welcome, Neha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunil, and thank you, Aditya Birla Health Insurance. Really excited to be here.
Thank you. So, as the Chief Executive Officer of Fraternity, an organization that focuses on health and fitness, what are your thoughts, Neha, on work pressure and the health issues that working women face?
So I think, Dr. Sunil, this is a very, very pertinent topic. And I think, if you were to sort of look at fraternity and its journey also, right, I think when we started out in 2013, we realized that fitness was being actually consumed by male counterparts more than female. And now sort of when we look at our own data, right, earlier it used to be 90% male and 10% females. And now that is 60% female and 40% male, right? So I think what we have experienced over the last decade or so, and we really call it the decade of health, is a major sort of shift with regards to prioritization of women taking their own health in their hands, and really causing sort of a difference to not just their health and their fitness levels, but everything else, right? I think all the panelists and including Dilshad knows this, right? If your cup is full is when you can sort of pour, right? And I think physical fitness has got a lot to do with making yourself sort of full in the first place, right? But you're absolutely right. I think across COVID and the almost sort of 2 years that we saw, right, that really made women sort of struggle, right? I mean, imagine already they were on a low self priority game because they were not prioritizing themselves. Doctor appointments for their elders, their kids, things for their husbands were more priority than their fitness. And then you added COVID and everything that came along with it, right? So what we have seen at fraternity, and if you look at our data, right, is that women are, for example, really breaking barriers and trying to do things out of the box. So we see a lot of women bookings, happening at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? Which basically shows that, women want to take care of their fitness and they are, going on the fraternity app and ensuring that they get a 6 a.m. slot, right? Or doing late evening workouts or doing workouts from home, right? So I think what is promising is the fact that in spite the pressure, in spite everything that has come along, fitness has continued to be important. I think what we have seen, and of course you would know that more, Dr. Sunil, is that we have seen, when we look at folks that work at fraternity, right, we're an 80% women team, at fraternity itself, and we've seen it, right, straight out of college, the kind of issues that a woman faces in terms of health, right up until, let's say, having a baby or sort of post that, right? But I think one common factor has been, the physical health and the mental health, of course, which Dilshad will talk about. But I think the physical health aspect and the pressure that comes along with it has been on prioritization, be on time, having no time for self. And third, also having that sort of guilt factor that if I am taking care of my fitness, if I am spending that 1 hour at a class, working out, what is happening at home or what is happening at work, right? So I do feel that it is a lot mental in nature to be able to carve out time for yourself. And I think across most sort of, physical hurdles that we have seen that women encounter, fitness, is something that is sort of not taken as a priority. But I'm very happy that from a fraternity perspective, even with ABHI, in fact, we've been able to make that difference, right? We've been able to get women consumers into fitness and make them sort of a strong consumer, of fitness. So that's what I would sort of say. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I mean, that's interesting to hear, Neha. I was completely unaware that, in last decade, there are more women going to gym than men. I mean, so that's very interesting. And as you said, there were 80% of the staff that you have are women, and we have like similar kind of structure at the leadership team in Aditya Birla. There are more women than men. I'm sure that they're taking care of their health, and I mean that's very interesting. One factor that you talked about is taking time out for yourself, and also looking at your own mental health. What one has to do. So this question is for you, Dilshad. How important is mental well-being to maintain work-life balance? Impacts on women, and how can women take care of their mental health? I mean, there's pressure of there's pandemic, there's work, the kids, everything all at once. I mean, it's more than work-life balance. Everything got integrated and jumbled at the same time. So how to take care of your mental health during this time?
Yes, mental health is, in fact, it's been told that it is the unspoken of pandemic that we have kind of experienced thanks to COVID. Everybody talked about, the physical repercussions of COVID, and, how it's had even long-lasting physical repercussions even after, those 14 days were over. But no one's kind of really come out and spoken about the impact it's had on people's mental health, which has also been quite, a large thing, because like you've been mentioning, our lines and our boundaries of work and life became blurred. Of course, we had to deal with, this complete strange thing that happened to us almost overnight. So that was taking a toll on itself, and children were having to suddenly shift to online schooling. So that, of course, was an additional toll for parents. That is in addition to taking care of, their own balance of work and how to adjust to digital. And not everybody is kind of adept at, adapting to, the digital lifestyle and Zoom meetings. I mean, we just saw right now. So, I think that's that. And mental health, when we talk about mental health, mental health is not just about, diseases or, big, issues that happen to you, or going crazy as people, very commonly put it, but it's about coping with the little stressors of every day. Mental health is about how you deal with your daily stressors, right? From, whether you've woken up late, or, you're stuck in traffic for hours and you're running late to work, or whether, you are having a bit of a conflict with your colleague, or how you deal with your children at home. It's all those little things. And hence mental health is very important, because if you are able to cope with your daily stressors, is then when you're able to move ahead and be able to work productively, maintain that work-life balance that we're talking about. So yes, mental health plays a very important role in anybody, and especially women, maintaining work-life balance, because I think that still till date, I mean, as much as we would like to say that people have progressed and things like that, I mean, the onus of taking care of the house still largely lies on the woman. So that it is more important, of course, for women's mental health to manage this work-life balance. Coming to the second part of your question, how this can be done, I think that whole concept of me time is very, very important. And I have personally also, as a psychologist, when I was practicing before I joined Empower also, and even now through the helpline, always encourage people, and especially women, to take just 10 minutes out of your daily schedule for yourself. And even then, when we ask people, like, what do you do for yourself, they'll be like, we take care of our children, we cook food. But no, what we're talking about is just plainly and purely taking care of yourself, doing something that really brings a smile to your face, makes you happy. That is one tip. Because again, like Neha very rightly said, women also carry that burden of guilt, right? That, oh, if I'm, taking out 15 minutes of my time to do this, then, that means 15 minutes less for my child. But again, it's very important to remember that if you are taking care of yourself, then only you are going to, around you, which women think is very important, that we have to take care of everyone around us. So yes, it is hence very, very important to take care of yourself and for your mental health to be able to then maintain that balance.
So very interesting point here. So you said that one of the tip is to actually take out time for yourself, me time of 10 minutes, and this right also appears as if that booking your fitness session early in the morning or late at night. Do you see some synergy there? I mean, even fitness and mental health going hand in hand, because you're taking out time for yourself. So what do you think, Neha, about this, and what are your some tips where staying physically fit while working hard, as well as sparing some time for yourself while you're out, and while for yourself, basically me time and fitness going hand in hand, plus just unleashing yourself?
No, I absolutely agree. I think the way it was put out by Dilshad is exactly right. I think and I have experienced that, right? I mean, every individual has experienced that over the last 2 years, right? And because the mental game is what actually defines, how you are reacting to the environment around you, right? And the environment is forever changing. So I completely agree with her. And I think if you were to ask me tips for becoming fit, I think I'm no fitness trainer. I have just been an entrepreneur who tried to, aggregate fitness services. But I think just 2-3 learnings, right, that I have had over my journey and what I have seen around. I think what works is, first and foremost, I think if you announce to the world you want to do something, you sort of become accountable, right? So I sort of recently, right, I, like many others, I actually put on a pack of kilos myself in the pandemic, working from home. And I sort of announced that I'm going to lose 5 kgs, right? And the moment I announced, right, I became accountable. And automatically I sort of started saying that, oh, I told this person, so I might well sort of do it, right? So that works for me, right? I think figuring out what works for you, at least having some sort of workout buddy or some accountability, right? To talk to your friends, to talk to your husband, to talk to somebody and say that I want to do this, right? And I think what also happens if you do that, and if you tell your family members, given of course in India we live with family, right? It becomes a little easier if they understand your goal and what you're working towards, and hence that me time or that workout time will automatically sync up, right? So I think that would be one tip. I think second, and of course very contrary to sort of pure play fitness, is the definition of fitness has to be what is applicable to you, right? For me it could be 5 kgs. For somebody else it could actually just be walking 10 minutes, right? For somebody else it could be eating right. For somebody else it could be sleeping well, right? Having enough water. And I mean, we genuinely mean this, right? I mean, fitness has not got to do with going and lifting weights and doing CrossFit, right? In fact, to the earlier point, Dr. Sunil, when you talked about women are working out more, I wouldn't say women are working out more at gyms. I think what has happened over the last 10 years is that Zumba, yoga, several fitness forms have opened up, which women love, right? I mean, women are going to the gyms as well, but I think figuring your own format of fitness or what you love to do, right? Imagine combining me time with some music and with some workout, right? I mean, that would be great, right? So I think second, tip that has worked for me is defining my own fitness goal and what that is.
Yeah.
And I think third, overall, there's just so much content available across. I mean, I really feel that there's this web of fitness content available across, whichever app you open, whichever website, whichever friend, everyone wants to give gyan, right? So I do feel, I think the third tip would be, once you have your goal, in check, figure out, either work with a trainer or work with a coach, or sort of get yourself an app, etc., and have that regimented approach. Right, for us, in fact, one of the things that we launched was this pass, which is a workout pass called the One Pass, which basically enables you to work out at multiple fitness locations via one membership,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think what we tell women is that, you have a hectic life, right? Some days you can work out in the morning, some days near your house, some days near your office, right? Weekends, weekdays, and, use something that is actually flexible, right? So work around. So according to me, a morning walk is the easiest thing to do and easiest thing to start. And then it could go on to sort of doing some intense classes and sessions with trainers or at studios. So I think, yeah, my top tip would be, A, define your own fitness. Don't get impacted by the goals that you see, especially on Instagram. I think second would be, announce it, especially to your family members, so that they know that you are invested in this goal. And once you announce it, you'll do it. And third, take help, right? I mean, not just get content available, but just try and actually take some formal support and help.
So Neha, you touched upon the point about taking care of family, especially for women, those who live in large families. Do they face more challenges? And Dilshad, is this statement true? What do you think about it?
Yes, absolutely. People who live with large families, yes, they might face a little more, work stress or pressure in maintaining that work-life balance, because just the amount of expectations are much more, right? When you're living with more people. And of course, logistically speaking, even the work is much more. But I think that one can work around it. And I'm going to use one of the tips that Neha just mentioned, is by communicating your goals very clearly. So when you are, say, for example, if someone is starting off work, or say resuming work after a break, and is worried about how it's going to affect things in the house, communicate, have that open communication with the other family members about why you are doing this, what are the changes that they should expect, and of course how they can pitch in as well. I mean, we need to now start working much more smartly, and involve everybody, and most importantly, involve children, in your day-to-day household work. I mean, I think, like, and I have seen, like, I have some friends who have involved their kids in, like, composting, gardening, even like standing on stools and like stirring the thing, but involve kids, and it's going to become like, I mean, they love it, first of all, so it's not like a task, and of course, give age appropriate work. But I think that there is something that can be given, like folding clothes and things like that, because not only are you kind of then delegating and making your life simpler, but you're also making them independent. You're making them, you're developing their motor skills. You're giving them a skill, so it works both ways. And not only kids, but every member of the family then learns to kind of adapt and contribute, and kind of take off the entire pressure from just the woman. So I think communication is the first step, of how to kind of tackle and maintain a work-life balance when, especially, you're living with large families.
One interesting fact here, Dilshad, because I'm myself a father of two kids, and my wife, she's a doctor, practices, and during COVID time, and I could see, first of all, managing your school, kids' school virtually, and plus, I mean, if you see, I don't know whether it's by design, but all school WhatsApp groups have mothers. I mean, you will hardly see any father in this. So how there is a lot of guilt also that mothers carry while they're managing their work and their life, their personal life, their kids. Then how to overcome this this guilt, and how to tackle this?
So yes, guilt is definitely a big part. I mean, I'll give you my own example. Like, my family has always, like my mother, my grandmother, has always been people who have, they've worked, but they've also, like, cooked themselves and things like that. And when I started, getting into a full-time role, of course, when I got married, I was also cooking for a while, and then I got into this full-time role. And for me, it took a long time to kind of give up that control. And it wasn't just control, but I felt that I had to carry on that tradition and do all the cooking myself. So it would kill me, but and then after a really long time did I say that no, it's fine if I get a cook, so what if I'm breaking that so-called tradition, which is not even a tradition, it was a tradition in my head. So, I think that a lot of that guilt, of course, also is, so we need to kind of step back and check that, is this guilt actually being taken on by myself, or is it something that is actually coming from, across the, so that is one big thing, that where is this guilt coming from? Is this pressure that I'm only putting on myself? And if that's the case, then, I can just work on it to kind of, let it go. Second, more practical things is, and especially say, for example, if it's a new mother, you can think of things like, you can do like ease into work slowly, for example, you don't have to like, jump back. And now companies, I think, are getting much more sensitive, they are, and especially now that we've all got used to this work from home, I think, you can also talk to your company about what are the options, part-time, things like that. So, you ease yourself into, getting back to work. Then you can, again, going back to communication. I think communication is very important. When you're setting your goals, when you're setting your expectations with people around you, then automatically then that guilt also becomes less. And I think, again, because a lot of the guilt comes from because of children, that if I'm working, who's going to take care of my children? But studies have actually shown that, children of working mothers especially turn out to be, because there is that perception that, oh, if I am not there to take care of my child, my child will turn out to be a bad person or something like that. But studies have actually shown the contrary, that, they turn out to be really well-rounded individuals, who are independent, who, have a good head on their shoulders, they get better jobs. And this is actually a study that is done. So, again, that whole, perception is also baseless, that no, the mother has to be there 24/7, to take care of the child. And think of, if that you are, say, looking to give up on something that you really want to do, because of this perception that no, I have to be there to take care of my child or my family, how is it going to backfire on you? Are you going to sit there being resentful, being frustrated every day, and then somehow take it out on the family? Like, then that's counterproductive, So when we think of it like that, then I think hopefully the, guilt will reduce.
Yeah. So, one point that you talked about, and what I think is also important, I mean, before COVID, after COVID, if we, assuming that COVID is over, then having a cook at home or, getting help from outside for household work was possible. I think the real test was during the COVID time, when you could not get any outside help and all the work had to be shared within the family. Now that you have divulged your secret, how to, overcome the guilt of managing family and work, what is your secret recipe, Neha, to tackle this guilt or overcome this guilt of managing your family as well as your work?
Right. No, I think Dilshad put it out beautifully. Honestly, I think everything that she said is, first rationalize, evaluate, understand, whether you can outsource that work or not, right? I think all those are spectacular points. I think just adding a little bit from my personal journey, right? I think, see, today, when I was starting Fiternity, I did not actually know the kind of crazy effort it is going to take, right? It has taken almost 12-13 hours of day working without holidays for, like, I think years, right? And that is what startup is about, right? To the point that it actually gets to you, of course, physically, mentally, yourself, but you also go on to a massive guilt trip, because you just feel that you're not available for people around you who matter, right? And I think my learning, and I've had a lot of it, has been actually to prioritize the right things and compartmentalize, right? I mean, today, for example, for the longest time, if you've ignored checking into your how your parents are doing or ensuring health checkups for them, etc., right? I mean, those are things that should just get structured and put. And beyond that, I think just prioritizing what are the right things are very important. For example, recently, right, I mean, last couple of months I was dealing with my dad being unwell and he was hospitalized. I ensured that I took time off. I ensured that I told everybody, and I did that. I think me 3 years back wouldn't have taken the same decision, right? So I do feel, I think, putting some set processes in place, like we have a process of parents, everybody going through a health checkup, everybody coming home and eating dinner on time. I think those are some of those work life balance things that you sort of put in place. And beyond that, I think just asking for help if something can be outsourced, and if you have the financial viability to do it, I would definitely feel that is an easier solution than sort of fretting over it. And I think lastly, if you're not able to manage, I think talking to people around and taking some time off is not a bad option. I think everybody understands and should not feel guilty about that too.
So this guilt plus trying to manage your work and a lot of emotions flowing at the same time, same day, in the life of working women. And Dilshad, paying attention to your own emotions, it should be priority for busy women generally, but they do not do it and they're not able to focus on it. What is your take on this, Dilshad? How can one pay attention to the emotions or ups and downs they're going through, and what can they do about it?
I think paying attention to your emotions should be something that you don't necessarily have to take out time for. It should come to you naturally. So if I was to talk about how to go about doing that, every time you feel like, and I think this is in general for men, women, everybody, every time you think that you're feeling overwhelmed or your emotions are getting, out of control or the better of you, just take a step back and kind of evaluate, take a step back, ask yourself, what is it that is making me feel like that, and why am I feeling like this, so evaluate things that you can do on a daily basis, kind of to check in with your emotions. Is you can, again, whatever works for you, again, coming back to that me time where you spend time with yourself, you kind of understand yourself, become more aware of yourself, what is it that makes me angry, what is it that gets me irritable or happy also. Practice something called mindfulness. Mindfulness is about staying in the present. So when you are, and again, these are things that you can do like for 5 minutes a day, 30 seconds a day, even it's not something that, you need to put special attention into, but these things really help, and staying in the present where you are kind of acknowledging your emotions, accept your emotions, then really helps in, this thing that of paying attention, and becomes like a natural process. It does not become something that, then you only kind of give attention to when it becomes too much.
Okay. So do you, Dilshad, at the same time, do you get such, on your helpline, such queries where, seeking help is something, let's say you're not able to manage your emotions. Is it as advisable, or you promote that, one should be actively seeking help in that case rather than trying to manage it yourself? Let's say things are not going the way you want.
Absolutely. And I think that's what both like Neha and I have been saying, that in whichever aspect, whether it is physical or mental, there is no, there's no harm in seeking help. We cannot do everything together. At the same time, we cannot excel at everything. So, first, of course, is acceptance that, okay, I have some strengths and I have some weaknesses as well, and everybody does. So kind of building that support system and seeking help from the appropriate professional who can then guide you into kind of, handling it yourself is absolutely necessary, and one must do that, whether it is in the physical area or the mental health area as well. And I think the mental health area is a place where we're still kind of lagging behind because of the stigma, of people will think I'm crazy if I go to a psychologist. But I'm glad to see conversations like this, first of all, and lots more people, opening up, and helplines also kind of help with that because it's anonymous and it's accessible and it's free, most of them. So yes, I think that now resources are kind of being more and more available to people, and so people must seek help.
So the next question is to you, Neha. One thing that after talking to Dilshad, what we have realized, seeking help is something, whenever you feel that one can seek help about the mental fitness and all. At the same time, taking care of your physical fitness. For the women, those are not able to spare time because they're too busy throughout their day, from managing a family or their work. How can one spare time for their fitness at work? I mean, are there some areas, there are some gaps there where one can find time for fitness? It could be fitness, physical fitness, actually doing exercise or managing your diet in some way. And how can one do that, especially with work?
Absolutely. I think, like you rightly said, I think, eating right is half the job done, right? Eating clean. And it doesn't take too much to eat clean. It's not expensive affair like the way people make it out to be. You don't need to be on an avocado and kale diet, right? You can eat, normal Indian food and actually, have a clean diet. So I definitely feel that if you are somebody who is super busy, I think these small hacks about being able to eat well, carrying your own food, or just ensuring that you have a health service that sort of provide food, simple things like walking and taking the stairs. I ensure that I take most of my calls while walking, right?
Yeah.
And that has sort of turned out to be the biggest hack during COVID, right? That whole 10,000 steps a day. And I'm happy that I've still continued that, right? And I think the third thing is that a lot of corporates, and we as fraternity also work with them, are increasingly starting activities in office as well, right? So I think urging your HR to actually start activity. It could be a chair yoga class, it could be a Zumba class that you just sort of standing and doing a 15-minute workout. I think that also would go a long way. But simple things like walking, taking the stairs, just chucking the elevator, and eating right, and ensuring that you get your workouts over the weekend, right? I mean, that is something that I feel can be done for somebody who's super busy.
That's very good. I mean, because there are even any busy generally. I mean, because we deal with chronic condition as part of my work, people generally say that they don't find time because they're too busy. But when you actually note down your day-to-day activities, you will find enough time, five minutes here and there, and cumulatively it becomes half an hour or 1 hour, which one can spare and integrate everything in there. Can, rather than finding a particular hour for exercise, one can, if that's not possible, then it can be just, one can place it in between 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there, and one can do it. Now, so this next question is for you, Dilshad. This is very sensitive, or, very touchy issue, but sharing the responsibilities at home, when among spouse. Then how, because when it comes to family and considering change, how does it help in work-life balance? Also accommodating a spouse, a family member, in sharing responsibility. Not everything has to be done by the women of the house.
I think, yes, absolutely. And I think it's going to, because it is a change, right, from what we've been expecting, from what has been expected by us, from us. So I think it will take time. It's not going to be an overnight change. But yes, I think that, and I think let's give credit to the men also. I think even, men are getting much more aware, much more responsible, and also are putting in, and I think that COVID has helped in that aspect, because when both the husband and wife are, stuck at home, and the maids have not been coming and the nannies have not been coming. And so I think there was much more contribution by, the husbands and the male members of the family as well, and let's hope that continues. But yes, I think it's changing. Again, I'm going back to, communication is important. Having, because sometimes people don't even realize, that it's another job, taking care of the house. So it's like having two full-time jobs. So, but sometimes you don't realize that, so communicating and even small things like, like I know in my house, it's like, filling the water bottles and things like that, but every little thing counts. So, I think if you kind of have like an open communication and chat about how both members of the family are also contributing to the finances, right? So, a woman working also is being beneficial, to the house as a whole. So I think that, when you look at it from that point of view, and when you have an open communication of expectations, then I think it gets much easier to kind of share responsibilities. And I think now, and especially in the generation that's coming, I think the whole stereotype of the man and the woman's roles are kind of shifting, which is great. And I hope it only becomes better and better.
And I have same question for you, Neha, but little differently, because what Dilshad is talking about stereotyping. So traditionally, if you see, men were supposed to do work outside the house. I mean, everything which is going out, earning for family, etc. Now those lines are blurred. I mean, both family members, both the spouses are contributing financially. So how can one do that? I mean, specifically for men to accept they have to do a lot of work, and how to convince, and how to actually make this change very harmonious, and how to do this sharing of responsibility within the house, taking it away from the traditional way.
So I think that's very interesting, and I agree with Dilshad that it is actually, we need to give men credit, because I think it is generationally, right? I mean, if you were to look at our father's generation or the generation prior, right, versus the current generation, I think we need to give the current generation a lot of credit, including you, Dr. Sunil. I think managing 2 kids with all of that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of responsibility divide that happens, and a lot of it is not happening by any kind of push from the female side. I think it is happening given men are seeing the sheer workload that a working woman deals with, right? So I do feel, I think communication, I think I have always been able to solve responsibility sharing issues at home by just communicating, by just saying that my goal is for example, right, and I'm just sort of saying, I want to wake up and sort of do yoga. In this meantime, would you be able to help on this? But I'm happy to pick it up when you go, and can we work around what you want, what versus I want, and let's sort of achieve it, right? So I think that is something that has sort of worked well, which is communicating your goals, communicating your timelines, priorities, compartmentalizing. And I think, I completely agree that men are the ones who are making this happen, and actually this whole sort of culture of involving kids, taking sort of external help. I think all of that really works out, right? So I do feel, I think nothing really value adding apart from what Dilshad has said. I think communicating, setting goals is sort of what it boils down to.
Thank you, Neha. And thank you, Dilshad, for attending this session. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing session. We hope that all the women are not just empowered through this session, but will also be cautious about their health. Thank you, everyone, for watching this video. Do follow all these tips shared today to embark on your health journey while you are inspiring everyone with your professional accomplishments. We'll be back with another Health from Home session. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.